long last, it's done. I'm going to give a little bit of time for people to come in and the whatnot. So, this is going to be a Q&A about Lilith or about the book. Lilith, the dark goddess who glissades in the shadows, is finished. It is going to be published via ebook by the end of tonight. It will be released in an ebook version on my Teespring, which I will link below, and I'll make a post about it. So that way you can just click the link and you'll be right where you can get it on my Teespring. That's one option. The next option, you can also get it through lulu.com. However, I have to make the specifics for that. So if you want to get it through that way, it's going to be different. However, though, if you want a physical copy of it, a physical copy from Lulu, that'll be released a little bit, tiny bit later. So if you want the material now, you'll want to go with the Teespring version, which will be in ebook format. It is approximately 40 pages altogether. 40 pages. And yes, the text is slightly bigger than normal, so that way people who do not have the best vision, they're able to read it. And it's accommodated for that. If you're somebody who doesn't like seeing big words in your book or your material, hey, this is trying to be intended for everybody being able to have the opportunity to be able to read the material. To at least try to, at least. Because as soon as the physical copy is published, I'm going to also be doing an audiobook of it myself. I'll be reading it, and then that will be an option. So that way, somebody who is blind, they can still hear the material. Everybody has the opportunity to read this. And I'm aiming to also have this be translated into as many languages as possible, because this needs to be understood by anyone and everyone. And the physical copy will be going into a format that is a paperback. However, there will be an edition that'll be a hard copy. And unlike the paperback version, the hardback version will actually have the alternative design, to best put it. Because I made two versions of the book, the physical copy of the book, the regular paperback, which essentially has the same material and everything. It would be, I would put it as essentially together, so that way either or. That way if somebody wants to actually follow along that way, it's an option like that. Because I mean, the way I look at it is like if you purchase the audiobook, you've already purchased the material. So in my opinion, I think if you purchased it in one version, one edition, you should be able to have the audiobook that goes with it. If you bought the ebook, you should be able to have the opportunity to also get the audio along with it. But now say if you want to get the physical copy, that one might be different. Because with the physical copies though, because those actually charge to be printed, so if you're getting the physical copy, it may require you to get the audiobook, but I'll try and figure out a way to see if there's any way to actually make it lesser, or at least maybe put in some way you can be able to get the audio while also having the physical copy book. That's a complicated thing, but at least that's what I'm trying to hopefully attain. That if you purchase the ebook version, that you should be able to get that, hopefully. But I mean, that's a kind of a fine detail factor of that. But at least the biggest focus is to ensure that everybody who can read, listen, has the chance to get the material in their hands and be able to take it in. How it's done, as long as it gets received by any means necessary. And the other edition that I was talking about, the alternative edition, that one was original. That one was designed to actually have. Hey, Annis, haven't seen you in a while. The alternative edition, part of me wants to really call it like the limited edition version, but it kind of sounds typical, kind of like it just sounds bandwagony. But that edition actually has the pages be in color, like a red, black. Actually, it was a rose, violet, and black paper. Yep, life's life. The pages are a black with a violet, red, rose tone to like the pages. And that one's going to be printed in a higher quality. And it's pretty much along with that. There was also like my own personal sigil for Lilith in that edition that I decided, and after contemplating, I decided to put it in there. That one's only going to be in that edition. And that one's going to be in a hardcover, which is a bit more expensive. But I've also decided if there's at any given moment that somebody wants me to actually get a physical copy and then sign it, then I will. The edition that has my sigil is going to be the limited edition one. I'm hoping for it. If everything goes planned, if not, then I may not just include it at all. Because in the book, I actually put, you may use, well, I'm quoting it like out of my head. I put in there that you may, of course, use Lilith's collective sigil, which it is. That's the collective's go-to sigil for her, and it's mostly associated with her. So of course you may use that one. However, it is very encouraged and highly suggested that you make your own for her. At least that's what the book says. The sigil that I made myself strictly for her is just really just there. And it's actually the one that I made for her the first time, like my first sigil for her. And that one, I even remember making it. It was shortly after when I first encountered her. As soon as I encountered her and after when I was back in my room, that's when I decided I'm gonna have to make a symbol real quick for her. Because I usually do that every time when I've pretty much first encounter an entity and start investing with them. And I've been using this sigil since day one. But I honestly really don't even use it that much anymore unless if I'm actually putting it like on a candle or making it be like a representation of her. But I don't need to use that in that regard because I have that picture of her as, you know, that Yu-Gi-Oh monster, Dark Elf. So it's pretty much just what I use to scrap on candles. And throughout the book too, you also see another sigil that I've made for her. It's the Black Moon Lilith symbol, but it also has a snake eye in the crescent moon. And there's also a snake going up, pretty much up the bottom part of the moon part, like the T part. There's a snake going up it. And that is another sigil you can use, and that one's in all the editions, and it's throughout the book. But the one sigil that I made, that one's going to be most likely in the hardcover, in the limited edition one. Because I'm really if anything, if it all goes well, and if it's not too expensive, I'm going to go with that route. But if it's too expensive, I'm not really going to include it then, because I'm trying to primarily focus on the material getting into people's hands first. If it takes off like that, then okay, maybe I'll go with making the other one, if somebody chooses to. And even then too, if this takes off, Lilith, and I'm actually going to be quoting from her personality. No. She's not a demon. She is not a demon. Lilith is not a demon. Never. Now, don't get me wrong. In demonology, there is an entity with the same name. And that's not the same Lilith. That is not the same one. That is a man-made construct. Trying to actually act as her to misdirect people and deceive people from how she really is. Lilith, at her core, her personality, to put it the most simplistic way, is unknown. That's the best way I can put it. Unknown. Unpredictable. You have no idea how she's going to act. You never know. Because how she acts towards me may be completely different how she acts towards someone else. You're never going to know. It's near impossible to predict how she's going to act or how she's going to go about something. You're never going to be able to predict what she's going to do. So if she's kind to somebody else, she may not be kind to another individual. Best example. She could be so kind to one guy, and then he could have a twin brother, have the same personality and everything, but for some reason, she despises the other one, the other twin. They kind of have the same appearance, same demeanor, similar interests, but for whatever reason, she does not like the other one. She only likes one. But then out of the blue, she likes the one that she didn't like anymore, and she despises the one she liked. You have no idea what she's going to do, because she does have that aspect of her that she does that she likes, and she makes her own choices. So she's unpredictable. And when you start to work with her, you can start to see that she comes as she pleases, meaning that she comes to see what you're doing. She pops in out of the blue randomly. She takes peeks in here and there to see, how's your life doing? Sucks? Figures. Oh, you're doing pretty well. Don't mess up. And that's why I put in the book, one of the best ways to ensure that she sticks around is to actually keep doing what you want to do, not what she wants. Because there's this idea that when working with a deity, you become like their fanboy or fangirl. That's not going to work with Lilith. If anything, she's going to get kind of annoyed with it. Well, here's the thing. The stereotype of her that is like so embedded in people's brains about her, saying that these vulgar names about her, and there are people who think that they do work with her and they think it's okay with that, and no, it's not. If anything, point blank, you're a fraud. You don't work with Lilith if you insult her. Because the last time I checked, if you're going to be working with a divine being, I don't think you insult them. I don't even remember, having anybody work with, like, say, Aphrodite and call her I can't even say it. Because, and here's even another question. How come it's okay to believe with the stereotype it's okay to speak to Lilith like that, but to any other of the other goddesses, it's not? What makes Lilith any different? Just because that's an aspect of her? Okay. but that's not her core, so it's not right to insult her like that. Just because it's something so minute of her, like what she has dominion over, it's a small branch of it. The core is empowerment of the self to do as one deems fit. There's your foundation. Everything else then can be built on it. Vengeance, of course, the sexual side. Deception and equality. Because in order to do anything, you have to be empowered within the self first. Because if you do anything else, but if you don't have your empowerment to make your own choices, everything else is just going to fall. Like what I've said before. If you're not good, nothing matters. It does not matter. If you're standing on your own 2 feet and you're making your own choices and you have the empowerment within yourself to do what you deem fit, making your own choices, not letting anyone say, oh, you can't do that. Well, out of the way. When you're in that state, then everything else you can matter and worry about. Until then, if you're not well, nothing matters until you're standing on your own feet. And that's, you can't really argue with that. If somebody's not mentally well, literally, making them focus on external forces is not going to help. In fact, it's more than likely going to make it worse. They need to focus on themselves to sort out whatever challenges they're facing. And once that is overcome, then they can worry outside of them. I've gone through it myself, firsthand, and I know. And sometimes things take time. And it doesn't matter what anybody else says. They don't have to like it, that's just how it is. I think it's just, is it wrong that I'm afraid of the dark? And whoops, dang, I hate this bloody thing. Is it wrong that I'm afraid of the dark? And I just say in my head, no. It's not wrong because everybody has their areas of discomfort. It is what it is. But now, if saying that does make you feel secure, then you keep doing it. Because I cannot tell you what you can and cannot do. However, though, personally, and how I've written in the book, it is verbatim. Whenever you're asking anything of Lilith or trying to have assistance from her, you cannot approach her the same way as you would any other deity and ask for help or ask of something from them. You can't do it the same way. Because the way that she's looking at it is like this. Like say if you go work with Aphrodite and you're wanting her assistance to make you be more appealing to whomever. You ask her, Aphrodite, would you aid me in becoming glamorous to woozy woo, insert person's name here? She says, oh sure, no problem here. I'll give you a hand with that. You go towards that with Lilith. Lilith, will you help me woozy woo this person? Why can't you do it yourself? Well, why do I have to help you with it? Why can't you just do it on your own? You can't do anything for yourself? But the worst is when you put it this way. Lilith, make me be able to woozy woo that person. If you go at it that way, I can guarantee you she's going to respond. You want me to do what? Make you woozy woo to that person? No. You know, I'm not going to just do what you want me to do. In fact, nah. Because again, you cannot force her, you cannot tell her, you cannot push her to do anything. You cannot do it. Because in doing so, you're preventing her from using her voice. You're disregarding her say in the matter. Oh, it's deep down, it's the intention, and it is going to take time to actually start incorporating it the most, pretty much in the way that she finds most appealing. Because when you go at it in a way that's inviting her to assist in whatever endeavor it is, when you ask her in a way that gives her that choice to help or not, you're allowing her to take the matter into her hands, and then she can decide. Because when you're giving someone the right to make the choice on their own, what they can do, it's a big deal. Lilith, like when Yahweh tried to force her to lay with Adam, and she completely disregarded it and told him to piss it, she wasn't given that choice. So she just up and left. So when you give her that choice, it's a big deal. It's showing her that her voice and opinion matters. If you have Lilith in your rising sign in the first house or in the 12th, that is a pretty big, well, it has to be Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith is the most potent of the three Liliths in the astrological chart. Asteroid Lilith and Dark Moon Lilith, they do exist, but when it comes to power and the most pull of the three, Black Moon Lilith. But when you have Black Moon Lilith in the same sign as your ascendant, or even if it's behind the ascendant in the 12th house, it's still a potent position. And that's one of the placements that's described in the book that essentially has the most potential of her agreeing to work with you. It has the most potential. But again, you can't just assume that she's going to say yes. You have to ask her yourself and approach her yourself, unless if she comes towards you and invites you to work with her on her own, which is completely different. So, again, like in the beginning, you have no idea what she's going to do. You have no idea. You have to approach her yourself. Or if you're one of the lucky ones, she just comes to you. And that's just how it is. So, when you give her that opportunity to actually make the choice on her own, she sees that as a big deal. Anytime. She notices that and she appreciates that. Well, for me, the first time that I encountered her, the real one, like the true Lilith, my whole body, from top of my head, all the way to the bottom of my feet, broke out in a big, heavy, hot sweat. Just like that. Got a little bit stunned for like 2 seconds, like something like that, or to the effect of that. And I wasn't terrified. It was just like, whoa, hello. Was not expecting that, okay. Just a sudden, so bad. It's just like a sudden, out of nowhere, hot flash. Intense hot flash throughout the whole body. And also being kind of paralyzed for like 2 seconds. Like, whoa, what just happened? And then I got input in my thoughts from her. And I just was just like, well, of course, why am I going to say no to that? And of course, the artwork, the cover, is actually a good friend of mine, Crystal. And she is also of one of Lilith's. And I don't think I could have picked anyone better to be the cover than her. In fact, that picture was actually originally a video of her doing a ritual. And at that very moment was actually when she even told me that's when she invoked Lilith. and I didn't even know it. I just went on Instagram, and then I was thinking, because I did get her permission to actually put her on the cover in the first place, I was just trying to see, what are some good ideas? And then I just saw this video that was shot by her son. A 2-minute, 15-second video, watched it, and then as soon as she got to that position of like doing that, I'm like, that's the perfect spot right there. And made the artwork from that, showed her in, and she's like, that's creepy, because that's exactly when I invoked Lilith, right then and there. And I just said, well, it was just so perfect. That's the one. But yeah, she has come a long way, and she's done it all by herself. And she literally is probably the best example of a Lilithian taking full control and being consistently persistent in going towards what she wants. She has her own online business on, I think it's called Depop. And it's, if you look it up, Depop/effing goddess, that's her. She has a lot of great merchandise too, by the way. And she has flipped so many, I can't even describe how much she restores some of these antique stuff. Like all these antiques she restores, including clothing, vintage clothing. She's talented. And she's also doing appraisal of artwork. So I'll also see about also putting the link in the description box once this is finished. So that way, if anybody's interested, you can check her out. And of course, no, it's not sponsored. But she is deserving to have that attention. Let me scooch back. Well, funny enough, and as if you take a look back, you'll see that actually I did a video about Lucifer. Actually, I think it was my first technical real live. After when I got to 1,000 subscribers, finally, I can go live from my phone, which was a big help. Yeah, but if you take a look back, you'll see that I did a live about him. And it's pretty mind-boggling how in that video I described how the fall of Lucifer is actually based on the motion of Venus in like the planet Venus and how it behaves going behind the sun, and then it comes back out from behind the sun, reborn 3 to 4 weeks later. In other words, like when Lucifer falls, Lucifer gets thrown out, left to die. Venus disappears behind the sun. Lucifer vows to rise up again. Venus comes out from behind the sun, reborn. The fall of Lucifer, outcasted, left to die, vows to return, returns. And also, funny enough too, the part that I read from the Bible about I can't remember what specific book it was in the Bible. It was the Old Testament though. I actually hold up a picture of a depiction of a Hindu divine, Shukracharya. And if you notice, as I'm reading the passage, and if you look at the image while I'm reading it, it actually is describing Shukracharya, which is Venus, which is also Lucifer's planet. Not coincidental at all. Definitely not planned. What do I know? But now, don't get me wrong. All that I'm pretty much putting out is what I've learned in my own studies and hands-on. That's actually a very ironically simple question, to be honest. When death happens, what happens next is whatever your belief of what's after death is. In other words, if you believe you'll be reincarnated again in a different human life, or reincarnated into something that you are deserving of in your standing and what you say you deserve, that's what you're going to get. If you're going to believe you're going to go into a paradise when you kick the bucket, you're going into your paradise when you kick the bucket. If you're, like for me, since I've made a very strict, tight vow pretty much to go to Helheim with the Norse goddess Hel, and I'm sticking with that, and that's where I'm going to go. I can't take it back. I'm sticking with it. That's where I'm going to go. And Helheim is actually very similar to Earth, just a little bit darker. And it's identical to Earth, pretty much. It's like a big giant soup kitchen, too. That's Helheim. If you believe you're going to go into the realm of Hades, then that's where you're going to go. Wherever you believe is after death, that's where you're going. If you believe there's nothing after death, then you're done. What you say is what happens to you. Not to anybody else, only to you. If you believe there's nothing, then after death, there's nothing. If you believe you come back to serve more karmic stuff, then you come back and you do this on repeat in a different body, different name, different life. And you go through a different set of karmas that are mapped out by somebody else. Whatever you say happens for the next life and after death. And with that power is quite liberating, empowering, but also kind of scary. It is. Because having such power to know, okay, so when I die, I can say I'm going to go to this place. However you want it to be, that's where you're going to go. Because from the physical body, once it's dead, the spirit's all that's left. The consciousness is all that's left. If it's not given the thought and the programming, the best way to put it, if it's not told what to do once the physical body's dead, it's going to just go by default back to the source. It is, because when you have in your thought and you have it mapped out exactly how it's going to be, that's what's going to happen. But now the thing is, when you have so many choices, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Start with a blank canvas, completely blank canvas. Blank canvas, and just write it all out. Make it however you want to be. And keep in mind, there is no rule book. I'll say it again, there is no rule book. You can make this as fancy, as dark, as woozy-wooey as you want, and you can even allow other beings to enter if you deem fit. Mind-boggling, I know. You don't have to be forced to being bribed by getting 30 virgins. No. You don't need that. If anything, by technicality, the way that it's written for that, one issue though. 30 virgins, okay. What kind of virgins? 30 virgin olive trees? 30 virgin tapeworms? 30 virgin elephants? Or my personal favorite, 30 virgin male Tasmanian devils that are in their prime, ready to stick it? I don't know. It just says 30 virgins. What kind of virgins? It is. That's why death, funny enough, is actually the one that grants the most and the highest sudden change. Because with the 8th house of Scorpio and also the house of probability, the 8th house, death transformation has the most potential to take the lowest beggar and king like that. Hello, Z. But yes, that's how potent death and transformation can be, just like that. You can be in the absolute most suffering, then all of a sudden you're in paradise. You could be a beggar on the street. And here's another fun fact that a lot of people don't speak about. Underwater is nearly identical to how space is. Swimming in space, it's pretty close to how it is when you're underwater. Because underwater, there's not that much resistance in gravity because it pulls you up if there's air. If there's no air, then you sink. The water goes in and it pulls you down. That's the gravity. With no gravity, you're pretty much in a state of like floating in air. You have too much air in your system, so you're going up. But when you're moving, it's like you're being in the water. Yep. That's why also the ocean and space is also related to Pisces. The depths of something. Oceans have depth. Space has depth. A lot of people don't expect that. Yep. Usually though, for me, whenever I've asked for travel or projected, it tends to be a moment's notice. Like I don't prepare for it, it just happens. And whenever it just happens, I'm like, okay, I'm going with it. And I just go with it. And so far, I've had more positive experiences than challenges. Hello, killer. The spirits that are on the earth, now, they have made the choice to stay. Well, on top of that too, they've been given so many too high. Down I go. They've been given so much energy from the people on the land. It's okay, killer. You can always rewatch them. But they've been given so much energy and focus from people that they've manifested as their own state of awareness and consciousness, if that makes sense. And they've still maintained that. Because in nature, it's a living being that takes care of itself. Spirits come from that. Nature spirits come from that. Same thing with the dead. Passed on are part of the land and they grow. Let me switch back. Oh. Though, when you're going to be trying to do astral travel or astral projection, I would suggest, first off, really starting to change your mindset, saying that it is possible. I'm able to do it. It doesn't matter what anything else says, even my own head. I can do it. I'm going to do it, and nothing's going to stop me. Because as soon as you have the mindset of like, it's possible. Oh, I can do it. It didn't happen the first time? No, it did. I'm just not remembering it. Because usually when you ask for travel, is usually when you're asleep. Some of the time. That's also dreams. And most of the time with dreams, as soon as you come back and you're awake and aware, you forgot it. That helps open it up some more. But primarily having the mindset of like, I don't have anything telling me I can't astral travel. Even if something in your mind is saying, how's that going to make sense? How are you just going to appear somewhere? Stick it. Zip it. Don't even give it an opportunity to speak. Tell it to stick it. Or even better, that's one of the things I do. Lucid dreams is essentially the same thing, except the intensity of the awareness goes up. The sense of awareness is in such a peak that it's difficult to see if it's to be able to distinguish it from reality or not. That's kind of almost somewhat the same thing, somewhat, to how people that have challenges with psychosis, it's almost similar to that. And again, people that have those conditions, schizophrenia, psychosis, people look at them as they're like freaks and there's something wrong with them, but they have actually an advantage. They can see what the common man can't see in terms of what they're experiencing and what they're being exposed to, what they're experiencing it, not them, not anybody else. And that's a key point where you have to understand that they are just as, if not more, vital to listen to regarding the other realms. And even my significant other, he got it out of the blue and has been struggling with it. But he's gotten so much better. And it's a challenge. I almost got afflicted with it, but I was able to actually be able to comprehend what's real and what's not. It's very hard, but it's possible. Requires a lot of patience. But still, what somebody else sees and what they're experiencing doesn't discredit it. In fact, it kind of solidifies it. Because here's another little cutesy fact. With schizophrenia and those things, those illusions, delusions, and those inputs, regarding what, for lucid dreaming or anything along those lines, simple. You just set the intention, say, I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to do it right here in this moment. But if you want to actually, something just flew in front of me and I saw that. But if you're wanting to actually incorporate something to actually better get you in the physical state easier, you can use a mixture of chamomile, clary sage, jasmine. If you really want it to be extra fancy smanchy, blue lotus, instant. Based on my experience, that's an instant one. Whoever told you that, that's no. Because the thing is, well, I mean, you can also do this, see. I have a generational curse. No, I don't. In fact, it's gone. It's not attached to me. I don't have a generational curse. Even if I did, it's not here now because it's gone. It's been gone. Because remember, to bamboozle it, your life, your body, you have to say what happens. You decide how it happens. You make the choices. Nothing else. Therefore, somebody says, oh, you have a curse on you. Are you going to let them take control of your life and pretty much ball and chain you and try and manipulate and control you to do something that is against your will? It's not their life. It's yours. Are you going to allow that to happen? Hope not. Don't buy their BS. Just, nope. Oh, if there's a curse on me, oh, joke's on you. It's actually a blessing. It's a generational blessing. That won't stop giving me abundance. Just put it on its head. And now you're making them look stupid. That's how powerful things can get when you bamboozle it, just like that. Since supposedly it's on you, you can decide how it affects you because your life, you make the choice. You have the final say, nobody else. Even if there's something in your face being like, you're going to do this, you must do this. Are you sure? Why can't you do it? You see? That's how, if you have a mental agility and strength to realize, I do have the final say in everything. do. I make the choices, and as much as people try and push me, I can just, nope, not moving. Hey, I'm perfectly fine. I'm calm, cool, and collected. Why are you hissy fit? Stop pushing me. Why can't you do it? Everything was just fine. Everything was all fine and dandy. Then you had to come up to me and hissy fit because you want me to lift something for you. You could have lifted it already if you kept your mouth shut. Operating from that very simplistic and so minutely, deceptively simple way of thinking, you can completely disarm anything that comes towards you. Literally. Anything, you can just disarm it. If you just don't allow it. It sounds so pathetically and so dimwitly simple because it is. As it's said. Keep it simple, stupid. The more simple you make it, the less headache you get. And you can also use the same thing with your own thoughts. If there's something, if there's a three, because the mind is the most potent part to anyone. You cripple the mind, you cripple someone. If the mind's not crippled, good luck. Good luck with that. But if you have those thoughts that are crippling you, you can also bamboozle your own thoughts. You just simply address them as if it was somebody else trying to push you to do something else you don't want to do. You have thoughts come in saying, like say for example, if you're trying so hard for something and then the thoughts come in saying something that prevents you and discourages you while you're trying again, you already know it's going to fail. You already know you're going to fail at it. You're not going to make it. There's nothing in the world that says you can't tell that voice, wow, coming from someone who doesn't have a physical body, what can you do? You can't even make an attempt to, so how do you know that? Why don't you try it? Oh wait, you can't. You can't even do it because you lack a body. Piss it. Just completely disarmed it. Because you having a physical body and you having the choice and you're going for something, if something that doesn't have any kind of physical blockage towards you is telling you can't do it, well, here's the thing. You can move closer to it and then you can turn around and just smack that thought in the head, trying to hold you back. You can't do it. You don't have a body, dude, so what can you do? Oh wait, nothing. Can't get in my way. And by technicality, it's true. You can't tell something it can't do something when you can't block it. But when something submits to it, that's when it doesn't work. Deceptively simple yet most potent form of type of occult practice that I know. Bamboozling. The most deceptively simple and most potent. By your decision and by what you say within yourself, in your life, does the most anything can do within your own self and in your own life. You make the call, it's true. The one who makes the final say is you. Because the only other person, there's only one person who's going to be with you 100% of the time in every single choice you make. I've already said the answer to that. There's only one person. Only one. I don't think I should have to give you the answer to that. 24/7, this one person has to put up whatever choices you decide with. So if that's the case, why not make the choices that are going to benefit you the most? And if something is going to be hissy-fitting and you not doing what somebody else wants you to do, well, that doesn't sound like your problem now, does it? You're not hissy-fitting. You're just having a nice iced latte. reading a book that you want to read, and then somebody comes in saying, how come you haven't given us our status report yet? Why haven't you done it yourself? If it's that important to you, you could have done it. I mean, just saying. But it's your obligation for this job to do it. On my time, hon. See? Even though you have to use your common sense. You have to be able to adapt with it. Because that's, if you're going to be thinking that you can't do anything wrong and not get into legal trouble by trying to be in the next Jackass movie, it's not going to work. You have to be realistic and practical with this. And you have to use this with discernment. Simple. Although now I must get ready to go to a doctor's appointment for this physical body regarding my asthma. Lovely. So I will talk to you guys later, and I will provide the links to Crystal's Depop shop as soon as I can. And I will also make a new post with the first place to get the ebook, Lilith, the Dark Goddess Who Glissades in the Shadows, and where you can get it first on Teespring. And then after that, shortly thereafter, it will be released on Lulu. Also on ebook if you want to go through that route, or unless if you want to go with the Teespring, that one is going to be made first. I'm going to try in my best to make sure that both the ebook versions are priced the same, hopefully. But for the paperback version, it may be a bit more, but it'll actually be a physical copy. And even though I kind of prefer to have it in physical copy anyway, but again, I want this available to as many people as possible because it's kind of important that everybody actually gets this. So, I'm signing off here, and I will just talk to you guys later then.